And this is the second half of my Walking Dead character death predictions video for season 6. Still a spoiler warning for this. There will be spoilers, kind of like how I announced in my previous video. So if you do not want to be spoiled in any way, do not watch the video. Okay, so I've gone over Gabriel, Tara, and Morgan, and right now I'm going to do the other three characters that I think might be killed off in season 6, and that is Glenn, Carol, and Abraham. Obviously, with Glenn, part of, I think that a lot of us know, just because of the comics, that Glenn could very well die, because his character does die in the comics. When Negan is introduced, Negan beats Glenn to death with a baseball bat with barbed wire named Lucille. He named the baseball bat Lucille. And as a result, that pretty much, obviously hurts Maggie. But it also instills, Rick and the other people to, even though they submit to the Saviors for, a little bit, it was just a ploy to get their guard down so that they could exact revenge, because, Negan was a killer and killed Glenn. And I think that there is a very good chance that that story could be repeated in season 6. It's also possible that Glenn might die a different way, though, because on Chris Hardwick's Midnight Special, Robert Kirkman, the writer of the Walking Dead comics, was asked to write a spoiler or write something that wasn't going to happen, something weird like that, and he wrote about Glenn and Negan and how Glenn dies at Negan's hand, which may indicate that Glenn might not die through Negan's hand. But if he doesn't, it doesn't necessarily mean that Glenn isn't safe, or that Glenn is safe. He could very well die in season 6, maybe even season 7. We'll see. And it's not that I want Glenn to die, but again, you have to look at what could the story, what could happen with the story without Glenn. And one of the things that you have to look at, and especially with the comics, Maggie becomes a very, very important character. She becomes the leader of the Hilltop community. And she does have Glenn's baby, a son that she names after her father, Herschel. And I feel like in order for Maggie to become the character that she becomes, and if that is the destiny that they plan for her in the TV show as well, I feel like Glenn does have to die. I don't think that Maggie can become the character that she wants to be with Glenn, alive. And that's a sad thing to say, because I like Glenn. But I think that it's really going to be hard for Maggie to become something better if she's in a loving relationship with Glenn. And that's the thing, is sometimes love can unfortunately inhibit a person from becoming the thing that they want to become. Sometimes you have situations where, husbands or wives, either or might give up a career for the other, might turn down a promotion for the other, might, choose a different career path, may move to another state. Different decisions that we make because of love. And that's not saying that that's a bad thing, but it can prevent us from doing something that we may have wanted to do. That's definitely something that you sometimes might have to sacrifice for love, depending on the circumstances. And I just don't think that Maggie could become a leader of the Hilltop community if Glenn was alive. Similar to, Rick, being the Alexandria leader. I don't think that can happen definitively without Deanna dying. Kind of like how Douglas had to die in the comics, but that's another story. But anyways, I think that that's a possibility. Another thing that you also have to consider is that, Glenn is one of the more hopeful characters. He's more of someone with a moral compass. He kind of really is becoming the moral compass of the show, because he refuses to, kill Nicholas at the end of season 5, whenever Nicholas tried to kill him. on several occasions. I mean, he shot him in the shoulder, and then of course he attacked him and left him for the freaking walkers. And it's like, Glenn, what the heck are you doing? But Glenn has instilled in him several of the principles of Herschel. Herschel was a big impact on Glenn's life, and I think that even though Rick maybe for now forgot or placed aside the values that Herschel tried to teach him, because I think when Rick was down there and when Herschel was killed, it's like all that progress that he had made was killed along with it. Whereas Glenn didn't necessarily see it happen, and plus, again, with Herschel being his father-in-law and Glenn not necessarily being exposed to as many terrible things as Rick, he kind of still keeps a lot of Herschel's ideals, because Herschel wouldn't want people to die. Herschel would not want Glenn to shoot him, or to shoot Nicholas. He would not want that to happen. And lately we've been seeing that characters that are not able to do acts like this die. Herschel, Tyrese, Bob, you could argue Bob, definitely, Beth. I mean, a lot of characters that, really are shining rays of hope at this point seem to die because it makes the world a lot more darker and a lot scarier. And with the coming of Negan and the Saviors, there's a very good possibility that Glenn will die as a result of that, or for another reason. There's a lot of questions with Glenn, and there's a lot of different theories that I could definitely talk about, but I definitely think that we have to watch and see what happens with Glenn's story, because I think it's very possible that Glenn could be taking on a new kind of story where they won't kill him off in the TV show right away, or they might have a different planned arc for him, or they may end up killing him just like they did in the comics. So we'll see what happens. Next up is Carol, and sometimes I feel like that I pick on Carol a lot, in regards to the things that she does, but you know I predicted last season that she was going to die and she didn't, and I'm happy about that. And you know something? If Carol survives till the end of the show, I'd be fine with that. I think that she is definitely a very great character, something that's much better than what her comic book counterpart is. And I like that. I like when they're able to change the circumstances of the character. And we've seen that with several people. I find that Michonne is not as reserved in the TV show as she is in the comics, and I like that. And it's the same thing with Carol. Carol's not, the crazy depressed psychotic. She's, I mean, psychotic may not necessarily be the right word, but her, emotional disposition of just, being able to do things that nobody else is able to do kind of reflects a little bit of the quote unquote mental instability of Carol in the comics. Not saying that Carol in the TV show is crazy, but the fact that she is able to, kill Karen and David the way that she did, to, execute Lizzie, to threaten Sam, to threaten Pete, even though Pete deserved it. And again, you can kind of, in a sense, justify, Carol's actions, and you can kind of understand, what was going on there. But at the same time, you also start to wonder if Carol has abandoned feeling for anything, because we know that she regretted killing Karen and David, and that she definitely felt some emotion killing Lizzie. But when she threatened Sam, she didn't seem to feel anything over that. And part of me wonders, in season 6, are we gonna see Carol hit her breaking point? Are we gonna see her finally realize the consequences of everything that she's done? And I think that it is possible. The fact that she threatened Sam, again, I don't know if that's ever going to come out or not, but I think it will. And there are two possibilities for that. That either one, somehow Jesse will understand why Carol did what she did, or Jesse's going to flip out. And it's not going to go well for Carol. And I think that, really, I worry about what Carol's going to do, and I have a video, of course, that talks more about that. That is there really any hope for Carol at this point? to become something better, and I just worry that there isn't. Like, I don't know what they're gonna do with her later on. Like, this world, I think, will eventually become a little more civilized. You know, Alexandria is a sign of that. But can Carol get with the picture and conform with that kind of a world or not? And I don't know if she can. And it really begs the question, what will she do next? Or will the weight of everything that she has done finally hit her? Or will she do something in season 6 that could have severe repercussions? I don't know. I don't really know what kind of stories they will have for her. But part of me wonders if instead of Glenn being the one that's killed by Negan, it's Carol instead. I proposed that in one of my previous videos, and again, you're more than welcome to watch that as well, as I go more in depth about it in that video. But I think that it would be the perfect way for Carol to redeem herself. Whether she needs redemption or not is up for debate. But I feel in many ways that if Carol, what they want to do with Carol, I don't know. But part of me wonders if there will ever be a chance to try to redeem her. And I think that her sacrificing herself to save somebody else would be the ultimate means of redemption for her taking the lives of Karen and David, which I still think was wrong, morally. You know, I'm not morally okay with that, but again, I understand that Carol is just a different character that we have to look at in a different way. But, you know, part of me wonders if she still has to pay a price for that. And I could see the situation going down where, again, you know, Karen, excuse me, you know, maybe that Negan is gonna, you know, pick someone to kill, and he might pick Glenn, or he might pick Daryl, and Carol might be with them, and Carol may, you know, stand up and say, you know, no, kill me, or she might antagonize Negan, because Negan doesn't like being challenged. Negan likes being the top dog, the heavy hitter, you know, the one that is in control of everything. And if he sees somebody like Carol who's willing to stand up to him and mouth off to him, he could very well just be like, oh, I'm picking you instead, you know, and then, you know, beating her to death. And the consequences of that, again, would be very devastating for Daryl, very devastating for Rick, and everybody in this group still cares about Carol. And of course, you know, they love the fact that, you know, she saved them. I mean, you can't deny that. If it wasn't for Carol being sent away by Rick and saving them at Terminus, you know, she wouldn't be with the group right now, or the group would be dead. So I still think that they love her and respect her in that way. But again, you know, just realizing that Carol is an individual, you know, what are they going to do with her later? And are they just going to continue to make her sink deeper and deeper into, you know, doing horrible things, or are they going to try to bring her back a little bit? And I don't know. We're just going to have to wait and see, but I definitely could see a situation where instead of Glenn being the one killed by Negan, it's Carol. We'll see. But that's my prediction on that. And then finally, Abraham. You know, Abraham in the comics, he actually also dies around it is volume 17. Now, he dies in a more simple fashion, though. According to Robert Kirkman, I think that he wrote it in there just because nothing was going on in the volume and he wanted to do something. So what ends up happening is that the group has an initial encounter with the Saviors where they basically just kill a couple of the Saviors and tell them, screw you, get away, we're not falling for your stuff, because they tried to intimidate them and threaten them because they found out about them from the hilltop. Well, later on, the Saviors find the Alexandria Safe Zone. Abraham and Eugene are walking outside, and one of the Saviors named Dwight shoots Abraham with his crossbow. Turns out Dwight has a crossbow kind of like Daryl, and basically shoots him with the crossbow in the head and kills him. Obviously the repercussions of that death were, very big because they lost somebody who was very valuable to them. I mean, Abraham is a warrior. He's somebody that could protect you. He definitely was a big factor in getting them to DC, and it was hard to lose them. And I thought about it, in a way, in that circumstance, it was Abraham's death that I think compelled Eugene to change as a character and to become somebody better than he was before. And I thought, well, if they don't kill Tara and they want to save her for something better, which I'd be fine with again, maybe they might kill Abraham in some kind of a way. Where there's a circumstance where Abraham saves Eugene's life, like he usually has, and Abraham might die as a result of it. And it compels Eugene to become a braver, better character than he was before. And I definitely think there's some big storylines coming up for Abraham in the TV show. If you watch my video on Abraham and Rosita's relationship, you'll see some of those predictions that I have for them. But I definitely think that his death would have repercussions throughout the group. It would definitely be hard for Rosita, definitely be hard for Eugene, and I think that that could be part of the reason to make them into, more important characters. So I definitely could see them killing off Abraham too. Definitely possible. But, we'll have to wait and see what happens. Season 6 is still quite a ways away, but hey, it's coming and I'm very excited. So I'm going to bring this video to a close, and again, I want to thank you all very much for watching. If you guys have any questions or comments, don't be afraid to leave them. Feel free to subscribe. I do have more videos coming, and if there are any video suggestions that you would like to see, don't be afraid to leave them in the comments. I hope everybody has a wonderful day, and thank you very much for watching.